This is the Sidebar, a place for us to provide supplementary information to go alongside the main content that was covered in a sermon, so that we may gain a deeper understanding of God's Word.
Welcome to Sidebar. This is a new podcast recorded all the way from Rosebank Union Church, and my name is Zwai Zulu. I'm joined by two very important figures in my life, but also in the podcasting world. You know, we've done a few podcasts on this platform, and so this is a new one. So joining me is Ansune Schoeman and Richard van Lieshout. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but you do know them. You'd recognize the voices. But thank you for tuning in and joining us for the Sidebar. Ansune, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Really excited to be a part of this. I love talking. I love talking about the Bible and just all things discipleship. So this is a really exciting opportunity. Yeah. For those who don't know me yet, I am married to Alex and we have two children, Karis, who is 3, and William, who is 15 months. That's and cool. So, we've got a busy, chaotic, but joyful home. Yeah. And I work here at Rosebank Union Church as the discipleship director, so in Zwai's department. Cool. And what else?
You're
I love
podcast
chocolate.
Queen. Podcast queen, man.
I'm referred to as that sometimes, yes. I love coffee. I love chocolate, all things music and art. And
That's cool. It's good to have you, Ansune, on this platform. Thank you for introducing yourself so properly. Richard?
Hi, I'm Richard.
Is that it? is that all there is to you?
Wait, I can tell you what he's going to say. How are you? Pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah, here's a problem. We need to unpack pretty good at some point on the sidebar. It is a sidebar.
It is.
How are you doing, brother?
Pretty good. Excited to be here talking about the Bible. I also like talking about the Bible. So.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. And you, Zwai?
I am good, because one can't be pretty good if they are good. I'm good. I've had a good day. We're recording this on a Monday, so I enjoy Mondays. I use it as a day just to write myself out, to think out and pray out. So I've had a decent day doing that.
I can see your halo, man. Yeah.
So it's been a good day. So I'm good.
All right.
Good. Yeah. How are you, brother? You're pretty good. What makes you pretty good?
Well, I think we had a good Sunday yesterday at church. So going through Isaiah and hence the reason for this podcast.
Yeah.
Sidebar. So maybe just to explain a little bit. So previously podcast with us, you and I, and I'm sure if you joined for it back in the day, but it was called the Scratch Pad, which was basically just a repository for extra sermon material, which is largely what this is. But I think what Sidebar means, why I like that term a bit more now, it's complementary information or extra explanatory material that's not part of a main article. Something like that is the definition. And I think when going through a series like we're doing Isaiah, where we're doing a chapter a week, sometimes more, there's a lot in it, and there's major themes and issues developing, but there are a lot of other themes and ideas being open to us along the way. And when preaching, because of limited time, you don't have opportunity to go down all those side roads. I've heard one, I don't know who it was, Spurgeon, one of the guys spoke about the main road through a text, and there's side roads, like a metaphor of, and some of those side roads are important. You need to go down and see what's there, but when you're preaching, you kind of need to stick to the main road, So sidebar, like side road, is almost synonymous, going down some of the side roads. And I think with Isaiah, us trying to, it's 66 chapters, we can't take 5 years consistently to do it, because if people are coming to church, Joburg is transitory. If people are only here for like 3 years, they should hear more than just one Old Testament book. So that's why we try move fairly quickly, but you don't want to move like just overview of things.
Yes, and miss some of the important things.
Yeah, so I know for the section we're in, 13 to 23, a lot of commentators, and I've seen preachers doing series through Isaiah, collapse the oracles of the nations into 1 or 2 sermons.
Yeah.
Very common to do, and I guess there's a pattern in it. But I mean, the Holy Spirit is not wasting paper, right? Like there's very real reason we have all of these words, and if you're just giving overviews of things, then you're not really exposing your people to the reality of Scripture. And I think they sense a detachment, because a lot of these just big overviews are quite detached in a way. And so people don't learn to read the Bible for themselves, which is a major, what I want to do in preaching is not just tell people what to think, but like how to. And hopefully in teaching, people are learning to read the Bible. And I think what I'm really passionate about is people reading the Bible deeply. So the overview thing doesn't, for me as a philosophy, it's just hard to do. I don't want to do it.
That's great,
so
man.
I want to read the Bible deeply. I think people should read the Bible deeply. That means, but I can't preach for 2 hours on a Sunday. So hence, we need a space to deal with some of the side streets and sidebars, because these things are important. They're not incidental. But we just practical purposes can't do them on a Sunday. So hence Sidebar.
Love it, man. Honestly, I think I was listening to a book that you recommended. Well, you spoke about it as one of the books that you were reading during your sabbatical, The Expositional Leader.
Yes.
And just there was a section, I mean, I'm going to paraphrase what the author was saying, but it's just around, just going through Scripture, like preaching through books of the Bible, and just how valuable and important that is. And I think that's what that's one of the things I love about Rosebank, that we're able to dive into God's word, because,
go deep, man.
We need to go deep. We need to dwell deep, So.
I think the way that you opened the sermon as well by saying our first question when we come to God's word isn't how is this useful to me, like how does it apply to me, but rather what is God revealing about himself. I think that that reminded me of something that I've been learning and challenged on, and that's that everybody is a theologian. You might not be a good theologian, but everyone, even children and even unbelievers, everyone is a theologian, which means like knowing God. That is why we have Scripture. And so I think that's why I'm excited about this. It might, it's not just an academic exercise to become clever, but it's not always when we walk away from Scripture that we'll have 10 practical things to go and do. Sometimes our practical application is, how do I know God more and understand him better and love him more? And that's so valuable. So this is cool and worth listening to. So thank you for listening, everyone.
No, this is great. Rich, let's dive into it.
The sidebar for today is, so Isaiah 14 is on the table. The major part of it is an epic poem, a masal, it's called, or a
taunt.
A taunt, And so we're in poetic territory, so there's lots to unpack there. So, but the sidebar is, I made a claim in the sermon that there's more going on to the poem in Isaiah 14 than just a prediction of a future king of Babylon. It is for sure about a future king of Babylon. I think the language does also very quickly extend to kings like him to come. I don't think many people debate that. But I made the claim that it is also about a personal spiritual being who has similar ambitions, or had them first, in which the king of Babylon is actually just mimicking, paralleling. So there was the claim that behind the poem in Isaiah 14 is also the career, if you like, of a fallen spiritual being known as Satan today. So I wanted to explain that a little bit more, why I'm persuaded about that. I gave a few reasons in the sermon. I don't want to go back into those, but I want to go into it a bit more. And then I made this claim, so there's a parallel, overlapping picture of this spiritual being's desire to rise to the apex of where God is, and then also his fall. But the reason that there is this poetic overlap is to show that behind human kings, tyrants, is actually this force of evil operating. And I think just to to say at the outset, I said it at some point in the sermon that you can argue, and of course there are different views on this, and well-respected people on all sides. You can argue that Isaiah 14, the taunt, is not about Satan. You can do that. We can go into that a little bit as well. There are other theories of Canaanite myths and things like that. But what you can't argue is that the Bible does talk about Satan as a person behind human leaders.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think I didn't say this in the sermon, but just quick on that for people, like Daniel, book of Daniel chapter 10, you know, the prince of Persia, the prince of Greece, these spiritual beings that, you know, Daniel's praying and the angel is delayed coming, he says, because he's at war with the prince of Persia until the angel Michael comes. So it's like, that was a little window in Daniel of like, you're looking at it going, hang on, what the heck is going on here? There are spiritual beings that are impacting nations and the rise and fall of nations, Greece and Persia. You know, that Greece was the nation that came after Persia. So like this little window of spiritual beings behind earthly governments and empires. And maybe just on that to say that when it comes to what we're talking about today, which is a window into potentially, you know, Satan and part of his origin or part of his backstory, is that when it comes to the spiritual, the heavenly worldview in the scriptures, what we mostly have are these windows. I've yet to find or yet to really study or see like a systematic teaching on the origin of angels and demons and Satan, you know, and how it all works. What we have are these little glimpses. And so what we're trying to do is just piece together these little windows into something coherent that makes sense about a worldview that's not just materialistic. That's not just what we can see and touch and examine under a microscope. So I just want to say that because we are dealing with windows here. And even some of the windows are like, this window is poetry. So it's not the clearest window to look through. There are clearer windows. I quoted some, James, for, you know, and 2 Thessalonians and Daniel 10 is a clear window. Those are just, you know, either they're made up stories or they're real. And so we think they're real. This is not a super clear window, but in looking through this window, we're going to come across other stories in the scriptures that I think are clear. So I want to jump into Isaiah 14 and just follow a whole bunch of hyperlinks to other places in the scriptures. And in doing so, hopefully what will come out for people listening is a conviction like mine. Hang on, yes, behind the taunt in Isaiah 14, there is a picture of spiritual beings who are interacting with and influencing human leaders and empires. How's that sound?
Sounds really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think let's jump in.
Let's dive into it, man.
Let's jump in. So maybe a little quote from the guys from Bible Project. So a big fan of Bible Project, those listening. And by the way, just shout out. So Bible Project have done a series called Spiritual Beings. And it's a podcast series. I don't know how many episodes, 6 or 7. They go into a lot of detail, and I would encourage listeners to go listen to that because I think they do a comprehensive job, and a lot of, you know, the rabbit trails that I'm following are from them. And so one of the quotes, because they go into Isaiah 14 at some point, and the quote from Tim Mackey here is, in this poem, The Taunt, Isaiah depicts the king of Babylon as a human rebel who is embodying the career of the spiritual rebel behind the origins of Babylon. Just a good way to put it. He's embodying the career of a spiritual rebel behind the origins of Babylon. Okay, so just quick word on Babylon. So you were going to say something?
I was going to pause you on this, just like Babylon. I mean, so we're not only just thinking of it as a particular empire, like is there more to it?
Well, I think, yes, answer is yes. In the design of Isaiah 13 to 24, the oracles against the nations, I mentioned this in the opening sermon of season 2, it seems like there's 2 cycles of 5 nations spoken about. So 10 times the word oracle against is used. In the first set of 5, very real names of nations are given. But in the second set of 5, it becomes a lot more cryptic. And so it seems like what Isaiah is doing is once he's gone through a table of just real nations, then as he goes to the next cycle, it becomes a lot more enigmatic because all of the concepts he's speaking about that pertain to real nations are going to extend into the future. So when he comes to the second cycle, you have Babylon at the top of the list again. So Babylon in 13 and then Babylon in 21. And there it becomes very clear that he's not talking no longer about the empire that existed in, 7th century. So he's talking about Babylon as representative of fallen humanity and its desire to rebel against God. Do you guys think of other New Testament scriptures?
I was just thinking now, just other examples in scripture where, there was an actual, like we believe, a historic figure who is also symbolic. All those events are symbolic of something else, like Noah and the flood. And, I think they're all these actual historical things that are not purely symbolic, but they are also symbolic.
They're historical, but they become to represent a deeper reality. Yes. So, I mean, just in the New Testament, for example, the Apostle Peter, when he writes his epistle, he says he's writing from Rome, but he calls Rome Babylon.
Yeah.
It's not literally Babylon, but he is referring to Rome at that time because of its tendencies. He's equating it with Babylon. I mean, in Revelation 18 to 19, you have, which is, we're talking the future, you have fallen is Babylon, the great city, which, by the way, is what the words taken from Isaiah 21 when we get to the second cycle. So that's why we know when we get to Babylon for the second time in season 2, he's talking about the future because the Apostle John in his Apocalypse will pick up on that. So again, just quoting Bible Project guys here, it says Babylon is biblical code language for the entire social construct of human defiance toward God, pushing and shoving its way through the length of human history. It began at the Tower of Babel in Genesis 11, and it will go on until the second coming of Christ. Wow. The world is one vast Babylon from Isaiah's point of view. Correction, that might be Alec Mortier, not Bible Project. Not sure, just putting it out there. But you get the picture. Code language, and I like that. It's social construct of human defiance towards God. And it starts in Genesis 11 with the Tower of Babel. So I think that's where I want to start today, sidebar. Because we're dealing with Babylon. And in Isaiah 14, we're dealing with historical Babylon. Babylon was a real city in the area of Mesopotamia, and it had an origin story. And we have the origin story of Babylon in Genesis 11. So I want to start there. So we're going to go Genesis 11, Genesis 10. We're actually going to start with Genesis 10 and look into the origin story. And I hope what listeners will see as we dig into the origin story of Babylon is we will see the operation of spiritual beings behind an earthly city that became known throughout the scriptures as rebelling against the supremacy of God. Make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So let's jump in.
I hope you're not going to make me read Genesis 10. There are a lot of names that I don't think I could pronounce.
That is normally your job. So, okay, let's go to Genesis 10. And I think do want to read 6 to 12. But first, let's just orient our listeners as to where we are in Genesis 10. So do you guys just come to mind what Genesis 10 is, or at least the kind of genealogy that we're going to go into, what people refer to it as? Sometimes?
No.
The Table of Nations.
Oh, yes. No. I did actually
you
know
did.
that.
You did.
Yes.
I know that, yeah.
It's like when people say, do you know that song? And then I'm like, no. And then they sing it. I'm like, I know that
song.
The Table of Nations. I mean, it's this fascinating.
And this is post the flood.
Post the flood. Thank
flood.
you. Exactly.
In the Bible.
It's right after the flood.
Yeah.
So what we're going to get to in Genesis 10 is the descendants of Noah. Yeah. So we've got the flood because of wickedness, and we'll come across part of the wickedness of humanity that we don't always see, a little window, and see a greater reason behind the flood. And so after the flood, the only family that was left was Noah and his family. So Noah had how many sons? Bible trivia question. 3 sons.
3 sons.
Yeah. You guys remember the names? This is pretty on the
Ham
spot.
was one of them.
Ham was one of them, yeah.
Japheth?
Japheth, yes.
And Shem, I think.
Shem.
Yeah.
See.
Yeah,
I did
Shem,
not prep
Japheth,
these
yeah.
listeners. I did not prep these guys, listeners. They are as smart as they sound. So that's where we are. We're into the descendants of Noah. He's got 3 sons. And I don't know if we can put show notes or whatever, but I've got here a great pictorial I'll show you guys of like,
the founding of the nations.
like the family tree of Noah and his sons and literally all the nations of the earth. Yeah, it's beautiful. So that's what this is about. Genesis 10 is just describing the flood, and then we've got Noah and his 3 sons and their descendants who eventually fill the earth and become the nations.
It sounds pretty hopeful if you think about God's command to Adam and Eve to multiply and subdue the earth. Now there's been the flood, this new start, and it's almost like, okay, now people are going to do it.
Yes, that is good. Yes.
So
Now
it's
they're
like
gonna
a little, maybe now they're going to get it
rebuild
right.
moment. Yes, round 2.
Round 2, here we go.
Earth 2.0.
Yes.
Before the big 3.0, which we still wait for. Okay, so do you want to read Genesis 10, verse 6 to 12?
Sure.
Yes. Are you reading? I'll
Do
read.
it, Tanis.
I'll read. Okay. The sons of Ham, Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. The sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Rama, and Sabteka.
You're doing great, by the way.
Cool.
Should have prepped you.
The sons, if I knew I could practice this, but anyway, the sons of Rama, Sheba, and Dedan. Cush fathered Nimrod. He was the first on earth to be a mighty man. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. The beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. From that land he went into Assyria and built Nineveh, Rehoboth, Ir, Kala, and Rezin, between Nineveh and Kala. And that is the great city.
All right.
Yeah, some familiar places there.
Yeah, familiar places there, and a list of names. But then there's these little extended stories on some of the names. Now I want to get into one of the names, but I think a part that doesn't come up in that small section that we read, but in can you read verse 5 actually, Ansune?
From these the coastern peoples spread in their lands, each with his own language, by their clans in their nations.
Okay, and then read verse 20.
These are the sons of Ham, by their clans, their languages, their lands, and their nations.
Verse 31.
31. These are the sons of Shem, by their clans, their languages, their lands, and their nations.
What's common to all 3 of those ones you read? Verse 5, 20, and 21. It says, sons of, according to?
According to their clans, languages, and nations.
Lands.
And
So now, isn't that interesting? Because this is Genesis 10. And it's saying that they each have their own lands and their own languages. But what happens in Genesis 11?
Well, they all go and settle in one place.
But Genesis 11 is the story of the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
What do we know about the story of the Tower of Babel? What's
there
the judgment that God gives?
There's a confusion of languages, right?
Yeah.
So the origin of languages is in Genesis 11.
But they had their
But
own
they already had
languages.
different languages. And
So maybe Genesis 10 and 11 are not in
like
chronological order.
Yeah.
And they cannot be. Because Genesis 10 is saying that these descendants spread into their own region with their own language. 3 times that's repeated.
Yeah.
And in fact, in one of the parts of the genealogy there in Genesis 10, there's another little cameo, and it's the name Peleg, I think, somewhere there. Peleg, which means to divide. Can you see that there, Ansune?
Yes, my eye caught it, I think verse 25.
Yeah, can you
to
just
Eber
read
were
that?
born 2 sons. The name of the one was Peleg, for in his days the earth was divided, and his brother's name was Joktan.
So there you go. That's another little story in a genealogy. Peleg, and the word Peleg means to divide.
Yeah, I saw that in the footnote.
So there's a division. So humans are dividing into lands according to their own languages.
And that's post Tower of Babel.
Yes, chronologically speaking,
Yeah.
absolutely. Tower of Babel, humans construct this amazing building, and we'll get into that and their motivations behind it, and God brings judgment on them because they want to be like him, and they will become too strong, and God causes the languages as a result of that, right?
Yeah.
So Genesis 10 and Genesis 11 are not in chronological order. Note that. And so
that's an important sidebar.
It is. I think it just reminded me now of the importance of reading carefully through like lists of names like these. We can just think, what relevance does this have?
Right.
Again,
this whole sidebar is going to be these cameos and a list of names.
Sure.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and just reading the Bible carefully.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm just so motivated about is, maybe just to go back into, why do the sidebar? So spiritual beings and windows, and just wanting to be clear that because they're windows, what I'm going to say today, what we're going to discuss, like, I don't want the listener to go, this is like dogma. Like, you must think it through, know. But at the same time, I think we haven't spoken enough about the reality of spiritual worldview, spiritual beings. Like I said on Sunday, I think our worldviews are overly formed and dominated by a scientific worldview in schools here, and in Western kind of.
Yeah.
But I think in South Africa, that's tragic, because I think a lot of people do live with an inherited spiritual view, and I think we need to be better at explaining some of these things. And so, on the one hand, while I want to say, you're free to kind of your own interpretations, I think we must read the Bible carefully. And so that's what we're doing here, reading it carefully and just paying attention to all of these details because they're there for a reason. It's also why you can't read and just preach too much at one time. Okay, so in these genealogies here, we're like, okay, so the authors deliberately put 10 before 11 for literary purposes, not chronological purposes. And so that's just a point I wanted to make. Okay. So now let's have a look at that passage again. So we're at the sons of Ham. So we're looking at an individual in the genealogy of Noah. So his son Ham. Ham was Ham youngest or oldest or middle?
Ham wasn't he the oldest?
He was the youngest.
Was the youngest?
Yeah, and we know that because the story, go back to the story of Noah, that time when he enjoyed the fruits of the vine.
Yeah. He had one too many. So he's the son that covered.
No, he's the son that walked out kind of laughing. It's the other sons, Japheth and Shem, who went in and covered Noah. Do you want to read that for us, actually, Ansune?
I'm trying to find it here.
Looking there. Yeah, Genesis 9. Somewhere there,
Here we go.
I'm there.
Are you there?
Read it for us,
Okay, cool. The curse of
Yes, that's it. Yes, that's exactly
Canaan. The sons of Noah who came out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now Ham was the father of Canaan.
Just note,
there's like
specifically pointing out something here.
Yeah.
So his descendants, but like, hey, Ham, father of Canaan. Canaan is who?
The
OG enemies of Israel.
Yes.
The OG.
The Canaanites,
Exactly, yeah.
So these were the three sons of Noah, and from them the whole earth was populated.
Yes.
Noah, a man of the soil, began to plant a vineyard. When he drank some of the wine, he got drunk and uncovered himself inside his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father's nakedness and told his two brothers who were outside, the youngest. Shem and Japheth took the garment and placed it on their shoulders. Then they walked in backwards and covered up their father's nakedness. Their faces were turned the other way, so they did not see their father's nakedness. When Noah awoke from his drunken stupor, he learned what his youngest son had done to him. So he said, "Cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves. He will be to his brothers."
Okay, so stop there. So there's the story.
Yeah.
Ham, it says the youngest brother. He goes, tells his, cursed is Ham.
Yeah.
And cursed is his descendants in Canaan. So the backstory to why the Canaanites
were enemies.
Were the enemies is because of Ham and his disrespect towards his father. Okay, so youngest and cursed. And so that's why you need to note that, because it's out of his line that comes Canaan and comes Babylon.
Yeah.
right? So Babylon is not going to occupy a good part of the story when it comes from the cursed line of Ham.
Yeah, the villains.
Yes, the villains. That's a good way to put it. Coming from Ham, you're likely to be the villains. Okay, so the sons of Ham, Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan, the sons of Cush. Okay, so let's go into this little story. So Cush, so Cush is a son of Ham, who's the son of Noah. Cush fathered Nimrod. He was the first on earth to be a mighty man. That sounds good, hey?
Sure.
You're the first
Valiant warrior.
I'm the OG mighty man.
Sure.
Yeah, it'd be helpful for one of you to have other translations.
I've got the NET.
Okay, so what does it say?
It says a valiant warrior.
Valiant warrior. Have you got NIV there?
No, I've got ESV, but
Okay.
I can look it up
He was a
online.
mighty hunter.
So Nimrod, let's just have a look. So Nimrod, he's the guy who founds Babel. Okay, so let's go into Nimrod a little bit. So the word Nimrod, his name means, there's two different meanings given, either rebellion or valiant.
Sure.
So kind of weird that it could be either of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a strong person.
Yeah.
But rebel is built into his name.
Sure.
Okay, or valiant. So the reader must decide: is he valiant or is he a rebel? So Nimrod, he was the first on earth to be a mighty man. Now let's have a look at that. Let me see if there's something else I want to say first. Yeah, a mighty man. Okay, so let's have a look at this phrase, mighty man. So the Hebrew word there is the word gibor, which is just ordinarily like the word for warrior.
Yeah.
So gibor, warrior. The first instance of this word, mighty man, comes up in Genesis chapter 6. Okay, so this is our first little hyperlink here.
Sure.
So just so that people know where we're going with this person, Nimrod, we read that the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, which then becomes the city of Babylon. Erech, by the way, is the city Uruk, which is where the legend of Gilgamesh, the original giant king, lived. So he builds Babylon, Uruk, and in the land of Shinar, which is the land, the space generally given as the space that Babylon took. From there, he went into Assyria, he built Nineveh. So this is a mega city builder dude.
Yeah.
You know, the major cities of the major empires of the world at the time is this guy Nimrod.
Sure.
So we're trying to understand who he is.
Yeah.
Rebel or valiant, he's a mighty man. What does mighty man mean? So that's where we are. So we click on mighty man and we go, okay, its first usage is Genesis 6. So that's quite close to where we are.
Sure.
So let's read Genesis 6. So first hyperlink. This is going to be like the movie Inception. Dream upon dream upon dream. And you've got to kind of
You have
keep
to
your
pay
head
attention,
to where we are. So we're in the first level of the dream. We're trying to figure out what it means to be a mighty man and to be the OG mighty man. Okay, so Genesis 6, verse 1 to 4. You want to read, Ansune?
Sure. When man began to multiply, I know this passage. Okay, I see where we're going. When man began to multiply on the face of the land and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of man were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit shall not abide in man forever, for he is flesh. His days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came in to the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. The Lord saw that
That's good.
Is it good?
Yeah, sure.
Well,
Now, carry on reading. The Lord saw.
The Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intention of the thoughts of his heart was only evil
Hence flood.
continually. So this sets
Hence
the background.
Yeah, so I'm glad you read a little bit more. The Lord saw the wickedness, and they're referring to the wickedness is what we just read.
Yeah.
And so you see there, these were the mighty men. That's the same word, Gibor, that gets used later in Genesis chapter 10. So this is describing the origin of the mighty men. Sure. These were the mighty men. So who were the mighty men? They were the Nephilim.
Yeah.
Right? Who were the Nephilim? What does the Bible say?
Sons of God.
No?
They were on the earth in those days and
Yes.
afterward.
Yes.
Yes.
As a result of?
Oh, when the sons of God would sleep with the daughters of mankind.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So the Nephilim are the offspring of when the sons of God slept with the daughters of man.
Okay, Rich,
What is that talking about?
Let's pause.
You
here.
can tell us.
Pause. You need to pause here.
Good.
Sons of God.
Yes.
Unpack that.
Okay? Unpack that. Next hyperlink. Next level. Job chapter 1, verse 6 to 7. So that's an important question. I'll just go there and read it for us. And similar in Job chapter 2, and in fact, all through the book of Job, which is, we believe one of the oldest written books of the Bible. Yeah. So all through Job is the sons of God phrase. So Job 1, verse 6 to 7, again, you guys will know this. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan, "From where have you come?" Satan answered the Lord, "From going to and fro on the earth, walking up and down." Same in chapter 2, verse 1, the gathering of the sons of God. Satan came from among them. So who are the sons of God?
Sure.
Who are they?
Are they not angelic beings?
Yeah.
It seems obvious.
That's what it seems to say.
We're reading through Job. That's who the sons of God are. And yes, that is the most likely outcome of looking through the use of the sons of God in the Torah portion of the Old Testament and in the wisdom, right? Like it is the most likely outcome is that the sons of God are angelic beings.
Sure.
So what is Genesis 6 telling us? What is the origin of the Nephilim?
Sure. So it's angelic beings,
What?
sleeping with
impregnating human women.
Exactly,
Human women.
Okay, so let's.
I don't know why I got.
This is weird, right?
Can I just ask a question?
Yes.
In other places, like in the New Testament, sons of God, that refers to God's people, his children who are bearing his likeness and increasardly being bearing his likeness all the better, so they represent him.
And that is why it's hard
Yeah.
to read the Bible and across languages and translations and things, and why you got to keep your head about it and see, because you're right, you're absolutely right. Sons of God in the New Testament.
I was thinking of the Beatitudes. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be the sons of God.
Yeah. But here what we're seeing, like it's clear in the book of Job, sons of God is referring to in these texts like angelic beings. And again, this is disputed. People will have other reasons for it, and this isn't like weird unorthodox views. This is, if you go into is that great website actually, I think it's pretty good. It's gotquestions.org.
Yes.
Really solid. So you can go read articles on sons, who are the sons of God, who are the Nephilim.
There's
Seriously,
also,
listener, go do that.
Yes. They'll
have these outcomes.
Yeah.
They'll explain all the different views, but these aren't weird places to land, because we're reading the Bible, we're paying attention, and we're just putting together what it's saying.
Yes. There's also on this passage in Genesis 6 in particular, an episode on a podcast channel called Word Matters. I think it's Trevin Wax who hosts it.
Cool.
And they unpack really difficult texts and scriptures. So that's where I came across this
cool.
first. I read through Genesis and I was like, what on earth
Hear what
is
Trevin
it saying?
Wax's take on it is.
So we can post these links in the show notes.
So let me, let's first just talk about the fact of like angelic beings impregnating human women.
That's wild.
Can angelic beings take human form?
Well, they do.
Yeah,
We see that.
Hey?
Yeah, we do see that in scripture.
Yeah, we see that in scripture. Can you give me some examples?
Is it Abraham who the angels are there and then he or Sarah makes them food? I can't remember which one, but they like host them.
Yes.
And he doesn't realize at first that they are angelic beings.
Human nature, they eat food. A story that's also equally one of the worst stories in the Bible, but like the two angels that come with Lot to the gate of Sodom.
Yeah.
And the men of Sodom want to have sex with the angels.
Yeah.
Right, because they're just good looking.
Glowing
creatures. Yeah. So
beautiful creatures.
So it's not outside of the biblical story. Angels like cherubs and seraphim, and like, there are angelic beings that look like angelic beings, and Michael, and they can move across. But then there are just angels who are in human form. The book of Hebrews says, be hospitable, because you never know, you might be entertaining an angel.
Yeah.
So yes, this is physically possible. So what I think the Bible Project guys did that I think is really cool is in how they put this together. And I think it's important in the language here. In Genesis 6, it says, listen carefully, see if this sounds familiar. So when man began to multiply on the face of the land and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of man were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose. Is that language sound familiar? They saw attractive, they took.
Yeah.
What does that remind you of?
Garden of Eden.
Back to the Garden of
Genesis
Eden.
3.
Yeah.
And Eve going, seeing,
And
it's
taking.
desirable,
Yeah.
and taking. In other words, if Genesis 3 is describing the first rebellion of mankind against God, Adam and Eve, with the serpent as an influencer, by the way, then Genesis 6 is describing a second rebellion, this time of these angelic beings, seeing and taking what doesn't belong to them. And you can see actually that there is a judgment here, because it says, then the Lord said, my spirit shall not abide in man forever, for his flesh, his days shall be 120 years. So there's immediately a thing of God limiting, going, hang on, like this
good.
that happens not good. And then comes the flood.
Yeah.
And so if you wonder why the flood is, that's hectic, it's not just because of mankind's sin, it's because of the rebellion of spiritual beings and them trying to corrupt human lineage. And some people will say that part of their motivation for fallen spiritual beings to do this, to impregnate human women, was to corrupt the seed of Eve so that a Messiah wouldn't come. Just a hypothesis, but who knows what the motivation was. But it is interesting that Genesis 3, they saw was desirable, they took. Genesis 6, they saw it was desirable, they took. Right? And then there are consequences, and the consequences is judgment. And a result of them seeing and taking what wasn't theirs are the Nephilim. Right? So that's where we are, the Nephilim, who were the mighty men of old. So what we're getting to, just to go back to dream level 1, is Nimrod. Is the first of the mighty man. So he is a
Nephilim.
Nephilim. Okay, good. So we're putting these pieces together. So he is an offspring of this original rebellion of angelic beings. So let's have a look
at what they look like, man.
Hey?
I wonder what they look like.
Yeah.
Well, let's have a. Well, we know that they were giants. Okay, so we'll get there. We'll look at text, but they were giants. And you think about, for example, was Goliath, was he one of these giant creatures? Maybe sort of, maybe not, but we'll get to some text. These are genuine giants. So in a conquest, the spies go across the land, and the people are scared because of the giants living there. These are not just really big dudes like Sebastian. These are literal giants. How do humans become evolve like that? Well, they're the offspring of, and they are human. They're not demigods. Okay, so there's no such thing as demigods.
Humans,
these are humans. God wipes out those fallen beings. We can look at text, for example, Jude 6 and 7 speaks about God having dealt with these rebellious beings. So this isn't gonna happen again. That was a once-off thing, but a result of it was these rather extraordinary humans known as the Nephilim, of which Nimrod was a Nephilim.
I think this also, it just makes me realize more the extent of the consequences of the fall, how sin really affects everything. Even things that we can't see, and the extent of the effect on creation. It's just,
Exactly. And the earth, the spiritual beings, spiritual world. So this is really, again, this is a window. And it's disputed, and I get that. We just want to read carefully. And that's why if you're joining, we want to read what's there and put it together. As crazy as it sounds, we want to inhabit a biblical worldview, not a material scientific worldview. So this is what it is. And it so let's look at Nephilim. So the word Nephilim actually comes from a word meaning fella, like fella of trees. Not he's a nice fella, like a fellow of trees. So in other words, it's a name meaning bully or tyrant. Nephilim. So it's like offspring of these bullies who came and took what wasn't theirs. right? So Nephilim. So here's the thing. You get like this phrase, these were the mighty men. You're like, these are good dudes. But like, yes, that's a literal translation, but just reading a bit more, were they good dudes? So again, these are, when we get to Genesis 10, sons of Ham, like, so the Nephilim, tyrant, bully. These were the ones. So next hyperlink, when I come to the promised land, Numbers chapter 13, verse 32. So whoever wants to get there.
32, okay. So they brought to the people of Israel a bad report of the land that they had spied out, saying, the land through which we have gone to spy it out is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people that we saw in there are of great height. Giants. And there we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, who came from the Nephilim, and we seemed to ourselves like grasshoppers, and so we seemed to them.
Okay, so there's the Nephilim now. Now we're way ahead in the story.
Sure.
Conquest of the promised land, but it's the Anakites. But this is what this is telling us in Numbers, is the Anakites were descendants of the Nephilim. So it seems like this giant gene took quite a few generations to work itself out. But the Anakites are sons of the Nephilim.
Sure.
Now let's have a look at Deuteronomy 2, verse 10 to 11, because I want to just show you the continuing generations or development of the Nephilim. And you'll see how this maps with Isaiah 14 soon, I promise. We'll get there. But Deuteronomy 2, verse 10 to 11.
Do you want to read those?
Yeah. The Emites used to live there, a people as powerful, numerous, and tall as the Anakites. These people, as well as the Anakites, are also considered Rephaites, and Moabites call them Emites. Is that it?
Yeah. So, again, just describing different people groups who lived there. So the Emim were also tall, like the Anakim, the Anakites, right? Like the Anakim, they're also counted as Rephaim, but the Moabites call them Emim. So you've got at least these three sort of people like the Nephilim, giant type people, Anakites or Anakim, and Rephaim. Emim is just what Moabites call the Rephaim. Okay, so let's just stick with Anakites. So Nephilim, Anakites, Rephaim. That's the only words I want you to remember. Just mainly Rephaim and Nephilim. Okay, so tall people who live on the earth. So let's look at Rephaim. Okay, that's an important one. Important distinction. So, in fact, I would say the most important of these tall people, giants. So, origin is the Nephilim. Nimrod's one of them, but then there come people groups, descendants. Takes a while for this gene to sort of work its way out. So, Rephaim from the word Rapha, it literally means giant. Okay, so Rephaim is like, the name is just telling you what it is. Giants. So it's like a category. And you'll see the word Rephaim is used in many different ways. So it becomes like a category. So I'll just read this one, but Deuteronomy 3, verse 11. So, Deuteronomy, where are we in Deuteronomy? Moses is giving a speech recounting the whole history of Israel, right? So that's why he's talking about, and then we went there, and the Rephaim were there, and the Anakites were there, tall dudes, and God helped us. Deuteronomy 3 is this part about Og, the king of Bashan. Remember him? For only Og, the king of Bashan, was left of the remnant of the Rephaim. So you see, it's working at the last of the Rephaim is Og, the king of Bashan. And then there's this little bit, Moses just decided to include this. Behold, Og's bed was a bed of iron. Is it not in rubber of the Ammonites? 9 cubits was its length, and 4 cubits its breadth, according to the common cubit. Literally telling us the size of Og's bed. And Og's bed, if you do the maths there, his bed was, get this, 4 meters long, 2 meters wide.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm 1.81
huge.
high, so the width of the bed. So this guy is twice my height plus.
Yeah.
So this is not set. Like this is...
No,
It's
huge.
massive, yeah.
Tallest man on earth. I don't know how old the tallest.
How tall is the tallest man?
is the tallest man recorded on earth?
Asian dude.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think so.
Someone should look that up. Jean, you can look that up for us. Tallest person, how high he was. Anyway, 4 meters was this dude's bed. Hey?
That's
Okay,
insane.
so he's a giant. But we know that because he's a Rephaim. Rephaim are giants.
Sure.
Because they're from the Nephilim. And Nephilims are giants because of, that whole story. Okay, so the Rephaim. So where are we now? So we're just looking through Genesis chapter 10, which comes before 11, but not chronologically. We're seeing the person who built Babel was Nimrod, who's turns out not such a good guy, and the offspring of the rebellion of spiritual beings. So behind Nimrod are spiritual beings rebelling against God. He builds Babel. We'll get into the story of Babel, but it is a story of rebelling against God.
Sure.
So we're getting this narrative of rebelling against God, humans and spiritual beings.
Sure.
That's where we are. Now, this is just a little interesting side note, but Isaiah 14, because that is what we're discussing. But Isaiah 14, if you want to go there. So this is the poem. And I read verse 9 for us.
You want to do it, Sanas?
Yes, I've got it. Sheol beneath is stirred up to meet you when you come. It rouses the shades to greet you, all who were leaders of the earth. It raises from their thrones all who were kings of the nations.
Read NET for us as well.
Yep. Sheol below is stirred up about you, ready to meet you when you arrive. It rouses the spirits of the dead for you, all the former leaders of the earth. It makes all the former kings of the nations rise from their thrones.
Okay, are you playing spot the difference here? Between ESV and other translations. Let me read NIV. The realm of the dead below is all astir to meet you at your coming. It's Babylonian king. It rouses the spirits of the departed to greet you. What's the phrase in ESV there?
It rouses the shades to greet you.
Shades. What does that sound like? What is the translators trying to say when you say rouses the shades?
It's like, I don't know, I think of like a shadow, I don't know.
Oh, is that what you think?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I'm maybe not getting
That
it.
may be what they're going to... I'll tell you what I first thought when I read rouses the shades is I think like it's opening the curtains. You know, like I go in the morning to wake up Emma Rose and I open the curtains. I go, morning, sunshine, That's what I thought. I don't know what was in the ESV translator's mind. This is a key question.
Sure.
But it's interesting that you thought that is more likely what they were thinking.
Yeah, I don't know.
Rising the shadowy
Yeah,
ones.
arouses the shade. So I was thinking,
Shade,
what gives you shade? It's a shadow cast by something that you stand under
Okay,
it.
cool. You see, it's
And
just so
so-
interesting. It just shows how even in us reading translations, we
Yeah.
read words differently.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, there's a word in Xhosa which speaks to some of these spiritual beings, but it uses the word shades.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fascinating.
It uses the word shades, but it's
Like a spiritual being is a shade.
yeah. Yeah, is a tunze.
That must be what. So I was reading ESV like rouses the shades, and it seems like opens the curtains. And when I looked into the word, I'm like, how did they get there? But so I mean, NIV says the realm of the dead below is astir to meet you at your coming. It rouses the spirits of the departed to greet you, all those who were leaders in the world. And NET said that particular line, it rouses
the spirits of the dead.
to greet you, all who are
Spirits
leaders
of the dead.
in the world.
Sure.
Okay. So do you want to know what the Hebrew word for shades is?
Yes,
Do you want to guess what it is?
Rephaim.
Exactly. How did you know that?
I just
That was my big reveal for the day.
Yeah.
That was my big reveal for the
and
day.
because you said it's an important word to remember,
Yes.
but just thinking about what we've
It
discussed
is
and
literally, it rouses the Rephaim to greet you.
Sure, it's crazy. I just pulled up the Xhosa word for this. Is tunzela, which translates to zombie.
Okay. Yeah, the
Translates
shades or
but
shadowy ones.
it's a shadowy one. It's a spiritual thing.
So Rephaim, according to Deuteronomy, like these are just giant humans as a result of, the Nephilim. But the word Rephaim does then often get used to refer to the departed dead, shadowy ones,
Sure.
like zombies. So I told you it becomes like a category. So, I mean,
Sure.
it does. But it is also at the same time, this product of the spiritual rebellion and human. So like it's just like this hyperlink in there is the Rephaim. And it's just interesting because the rest of the Old Testament translators translate Rephaim as Rephaim. But here they didn't translate Rephaim as Rephaim, they translated it shades or departed leaders, which again is just, and there's very good reasons for that. I think Rephaim is a category, but it's just Rephaim, and Rephaim is an ordinary term we've come across if you're reading through the Bible, starting from Genesis. For example, Isaiah 26, verse 13, I'll just read this. This is in, the same, we'll get to this year. O Lord our God, other lords besides you have ruled over us. Other Adons, by the way. Like there have been other spiritual beings ruling over us. But your name alone we bring to remembrance. They, these other so-called rulers, are dead. They will not live. They are shades. They will not arise. So that shades, shadowy ones. Rephaim. They are Rephaim. They will not arise.
This is too wonderful.
Rephaim is a tricky word because it is a people like Anakite, Rephaim, a people group. It's a place, a valley of the Rephaim, etc. It's like a real place. And then it is also the dead, departed, shadowy ones, I suppose.
But I suppose that's similar to Babel and Babylon, and then that becoming like a representative word for a whole category of things. Is that sort of what we're seeing
I think so. I think that's why I think Rephaim is important, and I haven't gone way deep enough on like actually looking at every occurrence of Rephaim. But I think so. I think it is we're meant to be looking at this word, and it appears in Isaiah 14, and that's what got me. That was part of what just alerted me to what's going on here. Is there another layer? In referencing these guys. So here, you guys know where we're at the moment.
Lots of double clicking and hyperlinking.
Lots of double clicking and hyperlinking. Let's go to Genesis 11 now. I think just at this point, what I want to say is just keep saying that behind the founding story of Babylon, Nimrod, we see the rebel sons of God are at work. I think that's just as plain as I want to say it. Behind the origin story of Babylon are the rebel sons of God at work through the Nephilim, etc. So like there's a spiritual rebellion built into the Babylon story from its inception. So not weird to talk about spiritual beings and Babylon in the same place. And why am I crazy?
I think for me that it's opening up then the emphasis, it is particularly from an African context, like the emphasis on the spiritual world. And I think, some of the spirits are not good, but I think this places the origins of it. It's like, how did we get there? So obviously it's the fall of mankind, but we often think of mankind as fallen, like not thinking there's some spiritual beings that have fallen.
That's a great point. It's true, we do. We don't realize that, let me just quickly, before we get to Genesis 11, as that's where we're going, let me just read for you Jude 6, the New Testament authors. And the angels who did not stay within their own position of authority, right? So I was describing sovereignty, not wanting to just live within the boundaries God gave us. The angels, but left their proper dwelling, he has kept in eternal chains under gloomy darkness until the judgment of the great day. And then he references Sodom and Gomorrah, which is interesting because of the angelic beings and stuff involved in there as well. So, there is a story of angelic beings rebelling, and it's in the New Testament, in Jude, 1 Peter 5. Let me go there. 2 Peter 2.
Verse 4.
Yes, so you got it?
Here,
Thanks, yes.
God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell and committed them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until the judgment.
Very similar to Jude, but like sinning of angels. So like mankind, he created them for a purpose and for good, but there was a rebellion. And so this is what we're trying to think through, is a rebellion of a spiritual being, and the king of Babylon is just embodying the career of the rebellion. Okay, so let me just read, maybe this is a Bible Project summary, but it says, the fact that Babylon was founded by Nimrod, a warrior giant associated with the Nephilim, and then built up as an anti-Eden in Genesis 11. So that's what we're going to get to. Shows the author of Isaiah thinks Babylon is more than just a human enterprise. It is an icon of the human and spiritual rebellion. I think that's true. I think this is what we're reading. There's human spiritual rebellion wound up here. We're just meant to see that behind humanity's worst stuff are rebel spirit beings, man. You know? Jesus comes to clean it all up. Let's just say that now. You know, this is glory in that. Like, we don't have to be afraid of talking about these things all weird. Like he's going to kill with the breath of his mouth.
Breath of his mouth,
I think about probably 10 years ago now, I read a book, The God Who Is There by D.A. Carson. And it just, I had never realized that Satan isn't an evil version of God, but that he's also a created being. He's not just equal in power and everything, but just evil. He is created, and therefore God is even sovereign over him. Yes, God is sovereign, only God. And that was instrumental for me in thinking through this, that we promise we don't have to be afraid because Christ has victory.
He's not even the arch rival of Jesus, because Jesus is just the human, eternal Son of God in the flesh and smokes. You know, like it's his rival are the archangels on the good side. You know, in Daniel 10, you know, Michael is battling like that. Those are the rivals, are the angelic beings, not Jesus,
God, not Jesus. Great point.
Okay, so let's go to Genesis chapter 11 now, which is now telling us the historical account of the origin of Babylon. Now we know who's kind of behind it, and maybe that's why Moses put it in that order, so that we would see the behind the scenes before he gets to the actual, what we see from human eyes, what history records. I think Moses is putting that first to go, hey, before you see what's being built with your eyes, let me show you what's going on behind the scenes. Because you want to read someone for us? Genesis 11, 1-4.
Yeah, got it. The whole earth had a common language and a common vocabulary. When the people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. Then they said to one another, "Come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They had brick instead of stone and tar instead of mortar. Then they said, "Come, let's build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we'll be scattered across the face of the entire earth."
Just quick little fun fact about that. Make a name for ourselves. So the word for name there is a word that can mean it like renown, but it's like in English today we would say you can be famous or infamous, for good or for bad. And if you go back to that Genesis 6 story of the Nephilim, it says these Nephilim, these were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. So you read that, you go, oh, mighty men, that's good. Of renown, they are good. But no, actually the word renown can be good, but it can be famous or infamous.
Make a name for
and
myself.
here in Genesis 11, let us make renown for ourselves. Like it has a pejorative sense to it in the context of the story. So just fun fact there. So I mean, I don't want to go to it. There's so much to say about Genesis 11 and the building of the Tower of Babel, and it's out of that Babylon, the city, is built. But the key there is then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its tops in the with its top in the heavens." Now, this is surely mapping on Isaiah 14. Maybe for some people it's not surely, but I think it's quite surely. You said in your heart, "I will ascend to heaven above the stars of God. I'll set my throne on high. I will sit on the mount of assembly in the far reaches of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds and make myself like the Most High." So there's a lot to say, even the Tower of Babel. So in Akkadian, so in Hebrew, Babel means confusion, right? Because
babbling,
that's when confusion came in language. But in Akkadian, right, which comes before Hebrew, if I'm remembering correctly, in Akkadian, Babel, which would have been the language of that sort of area, in Akkadian, Babel means gateway of the gods. So they're literally trying to construct something that they can elevate themselves to be like God, like to be like the Most High, to not be restricted by limitations, the whole sovereignty thing I was speaking about yesterday. Like this is all just mapping together here. Right?
I'm struck by the where they say, "Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed over the face of the whole earth." It's like quite obviously rebellion against God and His rule, because that's what He said they should be doing.
Exactly.
We want to
multiply.
Let's stick together. Let's do our own things.
Lest we go God's way. Let's
create our own way of being like God or like gods. It's just the same, just not being willing to yield to sovereignty. Desire to be
like God.
To be sovereign. Yeah. So I do think, especially verse 13 and 14, and I want to go through a few other things in verse 13 and 14, but I think it's mapping with let's build a tower with its tops in the heavens, and what's happening and what Babel means and all that they're trying to do. But you said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. It's the same as build a tower with the top in the heaven, above the stars of God. Now, this is another hyperlink, and I'm probably not going to go too much into that at the moment because it's going to be a little bit of a crazy one. But above the stars of God, what do you think stars of God refers to? Like we say above the stars, you think, okay, it's just poetic language for like really, really high. But stars of God, sons of God, stars of God.
Angels, maybe?
Also, angels.
Yeah,
I'm thinking angelic beings again.
Yes, and why are you thinking that? Like in the biblical language, is it common for the actual heavenly bodies like stars which are real heavenly bodies, but to be representative or symbolic of angelic beings? Yes, it is. Super common. Right, even in the creation account, there's the filling of the land, and then there's the filling of the heavens with the host of heaven. Right, and it's the angelic host, and so even this is why it could be its own sidebar on its own. But people worshiping the sun and moon, they weren't actually worshiping the lights in the sky. It was the gods behind them. So just quick example there, but and there's so many we could go to. But Psalm 148, which is this awesome psalm, and it's a song that we sing. It says, "Praise Him, you angels and heavenly host." Heavenly host, sun, moon, and stars. Right, and so there's this often mapping of stars and the moon with representative of gods. So this being saying, I will ascend to heaven above the stars of God, means I want to rise above the other angelic beings. I've got ambition here. It's a legitimate way of reading through a Hebrew-informed perspective. It's just often that's the kind of language. I'll set my throne on high, sit on the mount of assembly in the far reaches of the north. What is that? The mount of assembly. If you're thinking now, if you're starting to think, okay, maybe there's something to this spiritual worldview, what is a mountain of assembly for a spiritual being? Can you think of an example in mythology or wherever where angelic beings assembled on a mountain? Mount Olympus and the Greek gods, right? So like that. But so here, I'll sit on the Mount of Assembly in the far reaches of the north. The word for north is the word Zaphon, right, which does mean north, but get this, Zaphon is also just a real mountain, a reference in the scriptures. It's even today, Mount Zaphon exists somewhere on the Syria-Turkish border, and it was in Canaanite mythology, it was the mountain upon which the deities resided. So Mount of Assembly, this is common language for the angelic host gathering together, and this particular one going that I'm going to sit in that assembly and I'll ascend above. Like there are aspirations and ambitions here. Like you can legitimately read this with a spiritual lens that you're just referencing how these terms are used in the Old Testament and going, okay. See, but it is poetic. So you can't be dogmatic here. But honestly, if you're just reading carefully and paying attention to language, I don't think it should be weird. There's just so many links. Far reaches of the north, I'll ascend above the heights of the clouds. And then this, I will make myself like the Most High. And I think that's a clincher for me. I did mention it yesterday, but it's the only time Isaiah uses Most High. As referring to that title of God, which is quite prolific in the Old Testament and prolific in Daniel. But it's the only time he uses it, and that's why, because Daniel's talking about Babylon, and Nebuchadnezzar's understanding of it. one last little one. Just,
Sure.
The stars, coming back to the stars and whatever. So this day star, son of the dawn.
I was going
the
to ask
morning
about
star,
that
yes.
and talking
The
about
morning star.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what we use the word morning star. People talk about the morning star today. Is this actual thing? What is it? What's the morning star today
The
in
planet
astrology?
Venus?
Not astrology, astronomy.
Is it
And
Venus?
astrology. Yes, Venus.
Yeah.
It's a planet,
Yeah.
but it shines in the morning
Yeah.
and it's brighter than a star.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a planet. And so in mythology, because they saw this bright shining thing that was lighter than the stars, it came to represent like gods, divine beings. Again, like people make no mistake, they were worshipping.
Sure.
They were paying homage to, but they were not paying homage to a light in the sky. They were paying homage to a divine being that they believe was represented by the light in the sky.
Yeah.
Right? And so this is, and Satan, so Lucifer, the choice in the, Jerome, who made the Vulgate translation in Latin of Lucifer, light bearer. 2 Corinthians 11 verse 14 says, and no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so I mean, it's really not, when the church fathers saw in, a few of them saw in this Isaiah 14, hey, this seems to be describing the fall of Satan, angel of light. The word Halal is the word for that morning star. It's...
Am I right to think, this is, sorry, I don't, no offense to ladies. Am I right there's a book that says men are from Mars and women are from Venus?
Oh, yes, that's why.
What are you trying
What
to
are you
say?
trying to say there? Let's.
That's why I led with no offense to women.
Yeah, we won't go there, right? Yeah.
It's not a good sidebar.
So, maybe I'll stop there
Sure.
for now. Spoken a lot. This is a sidebar.
Yeah.
It's a sidebar. We're looking at complementary material and potentially explanatory material.
Yeah.
I think it is complementary material.
Sure.
Genesis 10 and 11 is about the origin of Babylon.
Sure.
Clearly.
Yeah.
That's a complementary material.
Yeah.
We've gone into the founder of that city of Babylon is Nimrod. We've just tried to look plainly at what the Bible says about his origins.
Yeah.
We're looking at that and going, hang on, there is spiritual rebellion mapping onto the story of the origin of Babylon. Now we're looking at the, I keep forgetting the word for us, the taunt. The taunt against the Babylonian king. We're starting to see a lot of hyperlinks, Rephaim, a lot of language referring to spiritual beings. We're going, is that crazy? Well, we're looking at Genesis 10 and 11 going, no, like the origin story of the city was one that is tainted by spiritual as well as human rebellion. And so maybe it's not crazy that Isaiah 14, the taunt, is overlapping the two as well in extreme poetic form. And the point of it is to remind us that behind tyrants of world history and destruction is not just human beings at their worst. Humans are culpable. And as the rest of the Bible tells us, Satan is at work through it, and that explains a lot of the wickedness. There's just no other way in my mind to explain Hitler and Stalin, just on the basis of the sum of human depravity.
Yeah.
It's not far-fetched at all. I just think I like the way it ends. The whole taunt is the Lord is going to restore. It's like the story doesn't end with these angelic beings that have gone crazy and disobeyed God and they win. They don't triumph. It's like, no. The Lord is sovereign above that.
Absolutely.
As well. Like that's
So it's
a huge thing.
No matter what human wickedness prevails or even spiritual wickedness behind human wickedness. And that impacts nations. Hey, God's in control of it all. Like in case you're worried that it's just the human side, no, He's got the spiritual side too.
Yeah. And I think just, His grace to be restraining evil and not just, letting all that is evil run completely free. But, we do still see evil in the world, but He is restraining it. And, He's got it in control. Even now, it's not only for when Jesus returns, but we see evidence of that now. And I was just thinking about My daughter learned about the armor of God in school last term. They were like taught to, they recited all, like the whole passage in Ephesians. I remember one night lying down with her and I was like, sweetheart, do you know why we want to put on the armor of God? And she's like, no. But that opened up a conversation with a 3-year-old about the reality of just the spiritual reality that we live in. Yeah. And I think this is why this is so important, is to know about it, but then also to know that we're not left defenseless.
It's so comforting. That is so comforting.
Yeah, and if anything, this motivates me to want to be like praying more, because the material world is not all that there is for us to see.
Hey, that's a great. I want to end there, but I do want to say 2 things. But then we'll end what you said. We'll remind ourselves.
Yeah. Sure.
So maybe just Isaiah 24. So this is going to be within. So it's after the oracles of the nations, but then it kind of gets extended over all the earth. And so Isaiah 24 is like the day of the Lord for creation. Physical and spiritual. So Isaiah 24 verse 21, so it will happen in that day that the Lord will punish the host of heaven on high. Okay, so they, like Zwai is saying, they're not getting away with stuff. And the kings of the earth on earth. So it's just saying it in the same sentence as though we should be comfortable with that and connect them. You know, he'll punish the host of heaven on high and the kings of the earth. They will be gathered together like prisoners in the dungeon. Sure. Human leaders and spiritual leaders. So Rephaim hanging out with kings of Babylon. Like they'll be in the same place. That's why I think Rephaim in the realm of the dead is not just referring to spirit beings. It is meant to map onto this product of rebellion. They'll be gathered together like prisoners in the dungeon or be confined in prison. After many days they will be punished. Then the moon will be abashed and the sun ashamed. This is Day of the Lord stuff, right? For the Lord of hosts will reign on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem, and his glory will be before the elders. So there's the punishment of the two. You can look at Psalm 82 as well, for God judging and punishing the rebellious angelic beings.
When we were talking about the I will sit on the Mount of Assembly, my mind went to Isaiah 2 and the picture of Mount Zion, like the mountain of the Lord, and the nations, coming together to worship him. So this contrast is there. It's all over.
Yes. Maybe I'll read a little bit of Psalm 82 and then we'll end with what Ansune said. So Psalm 82, God has taken his place in the divine council. Hyperlink there, which we won't go into. In the midst of the gods, he holds judgment. That's Elohim, so spiritual beings. In the midst of the gods, he holds judgment. How long will you judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? Who's he talking to here? Spiritual beings. Give justice to the weak and the fatherless. So behind injustice is rebel spiritual beings. Maintain the right of the afflicted and the destitute. Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. They have neither knowledge nor understanding. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. I said, you are gods, sons of the Most High, all of you. Nevertheless, like men you shall die and fall like any prince. So that's just similar judgment for them. And there's the sons, by the way, again, of the Most High. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for you shall inherit all the nations. So there's both these realities, and God deals with wickedness in its individual forms, in its intertwined forms. Nothing escapes his sight and his judgment and his punishment, and to that end we should always pray more, which is
fantastic.
That's good. Absolutely, we should. It's our response. Thanks for the sidebar, guys.
This is great.
This is great.
My mind is blown.
Couldn't do this in a sermon, right?
No. No.
Grateful you didn't.
Freaked out a lot of people too. This is for the discerning listener who is entitled to argue and disagree and think carefully. As long as we're thinking carefully and reading deeply, I'm happy.
Let's keep digging.
Let's keep digging.
Sounds good.
Thank you for joining us. Till next time, we'll keep digging. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks for listening.